Hello, dear students. Welcome to Dr. Indra Nikati's class. So today in this video, I'm going to discuss about HRM, that is in that human resource planning. Okay. On your request, so many times the students have requested me to, Madam, start making videos on HRM also. That's why I'm making for you purpose, right? So let us look at what do you mean by HRP. Okay. So in an organization, how important HRM, human resource management, is known to you. We have learned in the earlier class, and now I'm focusing on what do you mean by HRP, human resource planning. Okay, let's move on to the meaning of this. So human resource planning is mainly concerned with the planning the future manpower requirement of an organization. So what is it? The company has to plan what is the number of employees required for its organization in the near future, right? So for future manpower requirement, it has to plan properly so that it can assign it can prepare the budget, right? How much amount it has to spend on their training, how to develop them, how to motivate, how to extract the work from them. Finally, ultimately, the company has to reach its organizational goals. In this, it has to focus on the individual development as well as organizational development, right? So that's why the company has to plan the future manpower requirement. Okay, so this itself, simply you can tell that human resource planning is concerned with planning the future manpower requirement. Okay, so this is very, very important, right? So in simple words, what we can tell, it means to assess or to determine the number of men required for an organization or for a firm, right? So it decides the number. What is the number of employees? Right number. They must be appointed or selected in right number. Okay, the right people at the right time, on the right place. So these rights are very, very important. Okay, so it is a systematic approach to ensure that the right people will be in the right places at the right time. Okay, so next, let us come to a definition that you may get a question that define HRP, human resource planning. So he has Vetter defines it very properly, and it is a comprehensive definition which has covered almost all the parts of HRP. Okay, so as per Vetter's definition, HRP is defined as a process by which management determines how the organization should move from its current manpower requirement or a position to its desired manpower position. It means the company has to plan for the future requirements, right? What is the current inventory of human resource? What is the number of human resource right now? And how many are required for the future? It is what is connected with HRP. Okay, so through planning, management strives to have the right number and the right kind of people at the right places at the right time. See, these are very important and which should be covered in the meaning, Through the planning, through human resource planning, management strives to have the right number. To minimize the cost of human resource, the required number should be appointed, not more than that, right? Otherwise, they'll be sitting idle, and that idle people cost leads to increase in unnecessary cost. Okay, that's why right number at the right kind of people and at the right places at the right time, doing things which result in both the organization and individual receiving maximum long run benefit. So ultimately, the organizational goal should have to be achieved and the cost and the return should be compared, right? So here, the organizational goal as well as the individual goals should be attained, okay? Or the maximum long run benefit from both the point of view should be attained, right? So this is what the definition defined by Vetter. So one more definition is there, that is according to Coleman, human resource planning defined as the process of determining manpower requirement and the means for meeting those requirements in order to carry out the integrated plan of an organization. So again, it tells the same thing. It is a process which determines the manpower requirement, which determines the manpower requirements and the means for meeting those requirements, what are the means through which the company has to recruit them, right? Appoint them, select them. So all these means are again decided here in this human resource planning process. Okay, let's move on to what are the objectives, keeping in view what objectives this HRP is made or framed. Planning is made. Okay, so first objective is to ensure the optimum use of human resource currently employed. So right now, what is the number of employees in the organization, and the company has to extract the fullest, the optimum utilization of the human resource, right? It has to extract the work from already existing employees. Okay, then only it is possible. If there is a requirement in the organization, that there is a requirement of human resource in the organization, then it can think of doing the human resource planning, right? To avoid imbalances in the distribution and allocation of human resource. See, this is also one more objective, important objective, that it to avoid the imbalances in the distribution and allocation of human resource. What is the number required? The same number of employees should be appointed, okay, so that the proper duties can be performed or discharged by the employees at the right time, right? So third objective is to assess or forecast future skill requirement of an organization's overall objective. So it is again very important part, and this focuses on the future skill requirement, because the days are changing very fast and dynamism is very important, and the new skilled employees are very much required in an organization because of technological development in the organization. So to assess, the company has to forecast the future skill requirement, what kind of skills should be there in the employees in near future, so that the company can attain its organizational goals because of changing requirements, right? Days are changing very fast. So that's why the overall objective of the organization should have to be attained, and the required number of skills must be there in the employees also. That's why what is the skill level that is required in the near future, so that accordingly the company can appoint them or select them, right? It can possess such type of skilled employees in the organization. And the fourth objective is to provide control measure to ensure availability of necessary resources when required. Okay, to exercise a control, to provide control measures. This is very important. Again, it has to control so that the estimated thing should not go beyond the actuals, or within the limit, within the standard, the actual should have to be performed, right? So to provide the control measure to ensure the availability of necessary resources when required. When we require the human resource, additional skilled resources, at that time we can appoint easily, and we can exercise the control measures also. Then next one is to control the cost aspect of human resource. Again, if the number of employees increases more than required number, if the company appoints, there is an increase in the human resource cost. That's why it should not happen, overall cost of the company will be also increased. But the main motto is reduction in the cost and appreciation in the returns, or maximization of returns. Cost and return should have to be balanced, should have to be analyzed properly. So here also the cost aspect is very, very important. How much amount that the company is going to spend on the human resource, and how much amount that the company is going to generate from the human resource. Okay, and to formulate transfer, promotion policies, etc. This is finally the company will think that it helps, the HRP helps the company's management to formulate how many of employees should be transferred to the other department, and how many of them, how efficient employees can be promoted to the higher positions, etc. So it helps them to plan properly, formulate such policies also. Keeping all these as objectives of human resource planning, the company has to frame the HRP properly. Okay. Next comes what are the advantages or benefits of HRP. So after doing the HRP, how it is going to help the organization, what benefits the company receives out of this HRP, right? So it helps forecasting long-term human resource, helps management to forecast the compensation cost involved in this. What is the amount that it has to spend Okay. So for the development of the employees, company has to incur cost, right? So forecasting of long-term human resource, keeping in view the longer visions, the management has to forecast what will be the compensation cost involved in this, right? So this is the benefit. They will be able to determine the amount of cost involved in this human resource, right? So that they can be, their skills can be developed, they can be trained, and the proper work can be extracted from them. Okay. Second benefit is it helps to develop employees through training. See now. So next, what? After selection, in the right number, employees will be provided with training facility, right? So their skills should be improved. That is why training is provided. So it helps the employees' performance too, and it reduces the HR cost. Human resource planning helps the organization to reduce the human resource cost, and it helps management to find out the right man on the right place at the right time, right? So this is also one among the benefits. And the HRP helps for preparation of budgets. What is the amount that it has to spend? Estimation of the cost as well as the returns can be expected. So budget preparation is also helpful here. The company's management will be able to prepare the budgets, and it helps for performance appraisal too. The companies can check the performance of all the employees before training. How was the performance? After training, how is the performance? Is there any change in the efficiency level of the employees, so that the efficient employees can be promoted, right? So the performance appraisal is also very important part of the human resource management. So HRP helps the organization to do this performance appraisal too, right? Then it provides for promotions, transfer, increments, etc. After doing the performance appraisal, the next step itself is to decide how many employees should be promoted, how many of them should be transferred, how many of them will get the increments, right? Demotions, etc., etc. All these parts will be there in the organization too. Then helps for optimum use of manpower. So ultimately, to extract proper work from the employees. Okay, so optimum utilization of the required manpower employment, right? Manpower requirement. This is also very important. Extract proper work from all the employees. The company will be able to do that also. Okay, so there comes the next part of this is human resource planning process. From what aspect it starts and where it is going to end. Okay, let us focus. The planning process is very, very tedious process. Half planned, it means half done, right? So planning should be done in a proper way. Okay, so it starts with what? First step itself is of determining objectives of human resource planning. Why the company is going to do the HRP? What are the objectives? You have studied in the earlier slide, what are the objectives? So to ensure the optimum use, are you going to focus on the optimum utilization of the human resource, or are you going to allocate avoid the imbalanced distribution and allocation, or to assess the future skill requirement? What is the main objective of HRP right now? If you require, if you wish to expand the company's activities, right? If the company is going to be diversified, okay, at that time, what is the main objective of human resource planning? You need to determine first. Why? What purpose is there? Why the company is going to do the human resource planning, right? After deciding the objectives, the current manpower inventory will have to be checked. What is the already existing number of human resource in an organization? It should be cross-verified. So is it okay? If it matches with the objective and all, then there is no need of appointments. If it is less, then the fresh employees are to be appointed by the organization, selected by the organization. That's why the next step is forecasting demand and supply, So first one, it has to start with the objectives. Then what is the current manpower inventory? Then forecasting the demand and supply. What is the number required? What is the demand for the employees? And is it okay with the existing employees, or are you going to supply it from the outside source, right? So what is the forecasting? The demand and supply of the human resource in that organization. Then the manpower gap, the existing, you have 100, but you require 200. So there is a gap of 100 employees, right? So that should be ascertained properly. Forecast the demand and supply. Next, look at, is there any gap in the manpower, number of manpower, right? So then manpower gap should be ascertained. After that, employee plan. So you're going to sketch here how many employees are required. So you have to appoint them because there is a gap. Manpower gap is there. Existing is less and the required is more. That's why employee plan will be done. After that, the employees will be appointed. Employees will be selected. The placement will be made and they enter your organization. They are with the organization now. Okay. Then the company has to think of providing training to them so that their skill level, efficiency level can be developed, right? Training and development takes place. For this, for every step, there is a requirement of money. M vitamin is very much required. What is the amount that the company has to spend to train the employees? Okay. So that is also ascertained in the human resource process only, human resource planning process itself. This part is also covered in the HRP. And lastly, after completion of the training, the employees' performance or the appraisal of manpower planning will be done. So have you appointed the right number of employees or not, right? That will be appraised and evaluated, analyzed. Then it comes to an end. Or else, again, if you require, again, you start with objective of human resource planning. Okay. So here, this part comes to an end. If the number is less, then again, the company has to recruit the fresh appointment. It has to make the fresh appointments, right? Again, start with objectives of human resource planning. Here we come to a conclusion that human resource planning process starts with setting objectives, ends with appraisal of manpower planning process. So that planning is actually correctly implemented and the required number is appointed. There is no need to do this. But again, due to the developments, due to the change in the economy, the organization has to adapt accordingly, right? For that, again, it requires, and there will be a labor turnover too in the organization. All the companies face a problem of labor turnover. So some of them will be newly joining, and some of the employees will be quitting their jobs. They are going somewhere else, right? They are in search of prospective employees again, right? Employments again, right? So they'll be leaving this job, quitting the job, there the vacancies create, and again, the company has to appoint new employees in that place. So that's why this is a continuous process. Human resource planning process in an organization is continuously made according to the requirement, human resource requirement in an organization. The human resource planning process will be continuously made by the organization. Here we come to a conclusion of this. And all the things, what all you have learned in this video is the meaning, what is HRP, determining the future manpower requirement or the number of employees required to an organization in the near future. Determine that. This process itself is human resource planning. Okay. Next definition you have gone through, better defined. After that, you have learned the objectives. After that, benefits and human resource planning process. And here we conclude. If you want, and in my next video, I'm going to cover the job analysis part. Job analysis, what is job description, job specification, and job design. What are the techniques again? All those parts will be covered in my next video. Feel free and ask your friends to subscribe to my channel so that continuously one after one videos will be covered of different subjects. You can go to a playlist, you will get varieties of subjects, different subjects on which I have made videos. So thank you very much.